As anyone with kids will know, keeping on top of all of that important life admin feels like an impossibility, and Fran, in Well, That Escalated Quickly, is no different. She is mother to a 6-month-old baby, stepmother to a 7-year-old, a partner, and she has gone back to work full time, and she just cannot keep on top of it all. So when it looks like she is about to get a promotion at work, she feels that all of this struggle has been worthwhile. However, a promotion is not on the cards for Fran, and she actually gets made redundant instead. When she gets home, she discovers her family have thrown her a congratulations on your promotion party, and is just too embarrassed to actually come out with the truth and tell them what has really happened. So the next day she goes off as if she's going to work, and what she actually does is find a co-working space where she decides that she's going to spend some time getting on top of all of this family admin that she has left for so long. What starts out as a tiny little fib soon escalates out of control, snowballs into absolute chaos, and Fran is not only forced to confront the consequences of her actions, but also to take a good hard look at the pressure that she is putting on herself. So we buddy read this and it was absolutely brilliant. It is laugh out loud funny, but it does take a look at these pressures that modern life seems to be putting on all of us. So it feels very familiar and relatable. Fran is the representation of every working parent spinning a million plates all at once and putting everybody else first in front of her own needs and wants. And pretty much anyone that is going to read this book is going to understand these struggles, these pressures that she goes through. They are incredibly relatable, as so many of us are known to do. We are constantly putting pressure on ourselves to push past our breaking point, measure ourselves against what we are able to achieve, and feel let down by ourselves when we actually don't succeed in doing it. This book also captures really well how one small lie can just escalate into absolute chaos. And while the situations that Fran finds herself in do become more hilarious and more out there, you really can tell that her motives are in the right place, her heart is in the right place. One of my absolute favourite things about this book is the other characters that Fran interacts with. So Steve, her partner, he could absolutely have been a stereotypical partner, absolutely devoted to Fran and just forgives her instantly for all of her misdeeds. However, he's actually written as somebody that has got his own struggles and doesn't really understand what Fran is going through, probably because they don't communicate very well with each other, but he just doesn't see how much pressure Fran is putting on herself to be this kind of perfect mum, partner, employee. He also doesn't really know how to handle her lies and deals with that in a very realistic way as well. You can tell by the interactions that they have and the interactions between the family members that this is a couple that have grown together as a pair rather than just being kind of thrown together as a plot device. Coach Ron is another one of my favourites. He's surly, he is standoffish, he's cantankerous, but he brings a lot of humour and a lot of wisdom to Fran and to the story. Their interactions are some of the most memorable in the whole book because he tells Fran what it is that she needs to hear, even if she doesn't think it's the right thing at the time. But what I loved about it most of all was that beneath the laughs, this is a story about burnout, self-worth, and learning that asking for help isn't a weakness, as so many of us seem to think that it is. It's about letting go of these impossible expectations and realising that perfection just isn't achievable by any of us. Highly recommend it to everyone, but particularly those of us that are trying to achieve the impossible.
Meet Fran. And if, like Fran, and let's be honest, every parent will no doubt nod along to this, you find keeping on top of everything near enough impossible, well, That Escalated Quickly is probably going to resonate with you. It's about one woman's struggle to defeat the impossible whilst realising that life isn't perfect and neither is trying to keep every aspect of it under control. So we are introduced to Fran, who is a mum to a 6-month-old, stepmum to a 7-year-old and partner to Steve. And she's thrown herself back into work and quite frankly is not coping. We join her journey just as she believes she's up for a well-deserved promotion at work, but in fact is being made redundant. And when she returns home to contemplate what to do next, she arrives to a surprise congratulations party and in the sheer panic and rush decides that it's better not to say anything. She'll give herself a few weeks to get her life back together and, get on top of everything in her own way, away from everyday family pressure. But as with any small impulsive lie, white lies have a habit of unravelling. And in forcing herself to confront her reality, she ends up taking this long, hard look at everything going on in her life, all the pressures and the tasks, and really starts to work out what is a priority and what isn't. Now, a lot of this is done through her utilising a co-working space where we meet a whole array of side characters. And Sarah has done such an impeccable job of incorporating these characters. Their personalities and their interactions are so real. They're not written as characters in a book, but people you can actually relate to. There's Fran's supportive sidekick in Steve. He has his own life struggles. He's not a perfect partner, nor is he written to be. But he experiences family life very differently to Fran. And that contrast felt incredibly realistic. Women, and mothers in fact, often put so much pressure on themselves to do everything for the children, for the partner, for the home, and always put themselves last. And sometimes men don't see it like that. Steve is a real life partner. They've got a family, they've got a home, they've built a life that comes with its own struggles, and those don't stop just because Fran is having an off day. The arguments still happen, lies are told, and they're found out, feelings get hurt, and to be honest, that's okay. Even the strongest of bonds can be tested when it comes to the pressures of meeting what you believe to be everybody else's expectations. Now, the friendships Fran builds through this co-working space also become a real source of comfort. Around this new group, she can finally let her hair down, switch off from reality, and simply be herself. And whilst it becomes something of an escape, it also reminds her that you can only avoid reality for so long. Then we've got Coach Ron. You know how much I love a batty old side character in a book. There is always one who stands out for me, and in this, it's Ron. He's your typical older gentleman, somewhat wiser, fiercely independent, seemingly emotionless, but full of sarcastic humour and hidden depth. And Fran treats him just so, and in return he supports her without judgment, gives her cold hard truths, puts her in her place on more than one occasion, and we're here for that. He also may come away having learned a thing or two himself. Now, well, That Escalated Quickly is one of the most relatable books I've read in a long time. It's heartfelt, emotional, funny, messy, and wonderfully honest. More than anything, it will remind you that perfection is not worth sacrificing yourself for. The dishes can wait, the emails can wait, the washing can wait, but your well-being can't. And if this book teaches anything, it's that asking for help doesn't mean you failed. Lean on your family, your friends, and your community. None of us are meant to carry everything alone. Sarah's writing felt so natural and effortless that reading this often felt like sitting down with your best friend and offloading about the latest drama over a cup of tea. And honestly, sometimes that's exactly the kind of book we need.